Hello and welcome to the tutorial for Oberon the Kapibara Mage. We're going to begin by crocheting the head and body, so grab your khaki yarn and your hook and let's get started. We're going to be working around the chain which has already been made for you, so gently pull it out from the center and we'll take a closer look at everything. Arrange it so that this loop is on the right hand side, and now you should be looking at 5 chains right now, which are these little V's. The very first chain doesn't have a stitch marker in it because we won't be working into it. We're just going to completely ignore it. So the second, third, and fourth chains are the ones that have been marked with these stitch markers. And then the last chain is unmarked as well. Each chain has a top loop and bottom loop, and we'll be working into both eventually, but we'll start with the top loops. Go ahead and insert your hook into this big loop now and tighten it until it fits comfortably, not too tight, not too loose. And now we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of these loops that have been marked. Let's learn how to make a single crochet. Begin by removing the first stitch marker. And now remember to skip the first chain and insert your hook into the top loop of the second chain. Perfect. Now yarn over, which means to place the yarn on top of the hook and pull it back through the loop we inserted our hook into. You should now have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again, and pull it through both of the loops. That's our first single crochet. Now take your stitch marker and we're going to place it in this single crochet or stitch that we just made. Just insert it under both loops under the little V on top. Great job. And now we're going to make a single crochet in the next chain, so remove that stitch marker. But before we make the single crochet, we're going to take this stitch marker and place it in the bottom loop of the previous chain, just right below the single crochet we made. We're going to be working into the bottom loops later, and this one can be kind of tricky to find if we don't mark it now. Great job, and now we're going to make the next single crochet. So get ready and find the next chain's top loop. Now insert your hook in it. Yarn over and pull it through. Yarn over again and pull through both loops. Great job, everyone. Now we need to make 1 single crochet in the next chain. So remove that stitch marker. So insert your hook in the top loop, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over again, and pull through both loops. Now in the next chain, we're going to make a triple increase, which is 3 single crochets. We'll make 2 in the top loop and then 1 in the bottom loop. So go ahead and make the first single crochet. Perfect, and now reinsert your hook in there. And before you do the next step, take this yarn end, aka yarn tail, and move it so it's out of the way. Perfect. And now yarn over and pull it through. Then yarn over again and pull through both. Now we're officially going to start working on the other side of the chain. So find the bottom loop and insert your hook and make a single crochet. And now we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 loops. So let's go ahead and do that. Great job, everyone. Now in this last loop where we placed the stitch marker at the beginning, we're going to make 2 single crochets in there, which is called an increase. So make the first single crochet. There's my first single crochet, and now I'm going to reinsert my hook and make the second. Perfect, and that's round 1 basically done. You should have 10 stitches, so do a quick count, and then when you're ready, we need to slip stitch to the first and chain 1. So remove the stitch marker from the first stitch, and to make a slip stitch, you need to insert your hook under both loops of it, yarn over, and pull it through. You should now have 2 loops on your hook. We're going to pull the first one through the second one, just like that. And now we need to chain 1. To make a chain, you need to yarn over and then pull it through the loop on your hook. And that's it. Great job, everyone. And now we're ready to begin round 2. For round 2, we're going to begin with an increase in the first stitch. So let's go ahead and do that. Reinsert your hook into the stitch where we just made the slip stitch and make the first single crochet. Don't forget to place your stitch marker in there. And now reinsert your hook in there again and make another single crochet. Perfect. Now we're going to make 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. There's my first one. And there's my second. And now we're going to increase, increase, increase. 1 increase in each of the next 3 stitches. So let's make the first increase. Perfect. Now increase in the next one. And 1 more time, increase in the next. Awesome, and now we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. There we go. Great job, everyone. And now we're going to increase, increase. There's my first increase. Now increase again in the very last stitch. Perfect, and we're always going to ignore the slip stitch and chain 1. So count and make sure that you have 16 stitches. And then finish as we always will, with a slip stitch to the first one, and then chain 1. Round 3. This time we're going to increase in the first, and then single crochet, single crochet, single crochet. So let's make the increase. Don't forget your stitch marker. And now reinsert your hook and make 1 more single crochet. Perfect. Now we need to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. I'm speeding this up, but you can slow it down in the settings below. Great job. Now we're going to single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. So let's make 1 single crochet in the next one. And now increase in the next stitch. Perfect, now do that 2 more times and I'll meet you on the other side of this. You're doing such a great job. Now we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Awesome, and now we're going to single crochet, increase, single crochet, and increase in the very last stitch. And don't forget, you can slow this down if you need to. You did it! You should now have 22 stitches. And when you're done, finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. Time for round 4. We're going to increase in the first stitch and then make 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So let's go ahead and do that. Great job. And now we're going to single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. Very similar to the last round. Fantastic. And now we're going to single crochet, So go ahead and do that. Great job. And now we're going to single crochet, increase, single crochet, and increase in the last stitch. So make 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Perfect. And now make an increase in the next one. Awesome, and now do that 1 more time. 2 single crochets, then an increase. So I'm just finishing up the increase, and you should now have 28 stitches before finishing with the slip stitch and chain 1. Now for rounds 5, 6, and 7, so 3 rounds total, all we're going to do is make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So I'll get the first round started with you, and then I'll do a check-in after each one so you can see how it's supposed to look. But super easy, just single crocheting around, making a total of 28 single crochets before slip stitching and chaining 1. Here's how round 5 looks. Here's round 6. And here's the final round, round 7. Great job, everyone. Now for round 8, we're going to walk through this a lot slower. Make a single crochet in the very first stitch. Don't forget your stitch marker. And now we're going to increase in the next one. Perfect, and now we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 7 stitches. Awesome, there we go. And now we're going to make a decrease. To make a decrease, instead of inserting your hook under both loops, we're only going to insert it into the front loop, or the loop that's closer to you. And now insert your hook into the front loop of the next stitch. Now you can yarn over and pull it back through. You should have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again and pull through both loops. And that's the decrease. Great job. Now we're going to single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. So make 1 single crochet in the next stitch. If you're confused about which is the next one, it's the one that's completely untouched and you can see both loops of it very clearly. And now make another decrease, insert your hook into the front loop of the stitch, then insert your hook into the front loop of the next one, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull through both loops. Now make a single crochet in the next stitch. And now it's time for another decrease. Insert your hook into the front loop of the stitch, then insert into the next front loop, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull through both loops. Great job, everybody. Now we're going to make one single crochet in each of the next 8 stitches. So make 8 single crochets and then I'll meet you for the end of the round. Awesome. Now we're going to increase, single crochet, and increase in the very last stitch. So there's my increase. Now make a single crochet in the next one. Perfect. Now increase in the very last stitch. You should still have 28 stitches, and when you're done, as always, slip stitch to the first and chain 1 to get ready for the next round. Round 9. This one will be a little bit easier. We're going to start by making one single crochet in each of the first 9 stitches. So go ahead and do that. Great job, and now we're going to make 3 decreases. There's my first one. There's the second. And there's my final decrease. Now finish by making one single crochet in the rest of the stitches, so make 13 single crochets. I'm going to speed it up and I'll come back for the next round. But you should have 25 stitches at the end and finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. Round 10. Very similar to the last round, just a little different. Start by making one single crochet in each of the next 9 stitches. And now we need to single crochet 3 together, which is kind of like a triple decrease. So let's learn how to do that. Start by inserting your hook into the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over and pull it through. And now insert your hook into the next front loop, yarn over and pull it through. Then one more time, insert your hook into the next one, yarn over and pull it through. You should now have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over one more time and pull through all 4 loops. Easy peasy. Great job, everyone. Now finish this round just like last time. Make one single crochet in every remaining stitch. So make 13 single crochets and I'll meet you for the next round. You should have 23 stitches at the end before slip stitching to the first and chaining 1. Round 11. We're going to start by making 8 single crochets. Easy peasy, so go ahead and do that. Awesome, and now we're going to increase, increase, increase. There's my first increase, and now I need to make 2 more increases. Great job, and now finish by making 1 single crochet in the rest of the stitches. So make 12 single crochets before slip stitching to the first and chaining 1, and you should have 26 stitches at the end. Now for rounds 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, so 6 rounds total, all you're going to do is make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So make 26 single crochets before slip stitching and chaining 1. I'll do a little check-in after each round so you can compare yours to mine, but I'll officially come back for round 18. Here's round 12. This is round 13. Here's round 14. Round 15. Round 16, so close. And the final round, round 17. Great job, everybody. We're so close to the end now. For round 18, we're going to decrease, single crochet, 6 times around, ending with a single crochet in each of the last 2 stitches. So let's make our first decrease. You might have to kind of wiggle your hook into the front loop of the first stitch. Now make 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And now do that 5 more times. I'm going to speed it up, but I'll pop back in for our final stitches. Awesome, great job, everybody. Like I said before, we're going to finish this round by making 1 single crochet in each of the last 2 stitches. You should now have 20 stitches, so do a quick count before making your slip stitch and chain 1, and then we'll start the next round. Time for round 19. This time we're going to decrease, single crochet, all the way around. Again, finishing with a single crochet in the last 2 stitches. So let's make our first decrease. Perfect, and now single crochet in the next stitch. Now repeat that 5 more times and I'll meet you at the end. So I just finished making my last decrease in single crochet, and like I said before, we're going to finish this round by making 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. There we go, perfect. You should now have 14 stitches before slip stitching and chaining 1. Great job, and before we move on to the last round, we need to stuff the body. Place your stitch marker in the loop where your hook is. This is going to prevent it from accidentally unraveling, and then we'll start stuffing. So grab your stuffing and we're going to firmly stuff the project. Start at the bottom down in the head, and then work your way up. Try and line the walls before placing the stuffing in the middle. Check it from all angles to see if there are any spots that look deflated or empty, and stuff accordingly. You also don't want to put too much stuffing in it because it can cause your stitches to stretch out and show the inside. Also, this is the only thing that requires stuffing, so feel free to use all of it if you need to. Once you're happy with it, do a little squeeze test to make sure it's keeping its shape, and then we'll start crocheting again. Great job, everyone. Now you can put your hook back into the loop and remove the stitch marker. Round 20, our last round. To finish this up, all we're going to do is decrease, decrease, decrease all the way around. So insert your hook into the front loop of the first stitch, then insert your hook into the front loop of the next stitch, and finish your decrease as normal. Place your stitch marker in there, and now continue by making 6 more decreases. I'll speed it up, and I'll meet you at the end to finish. Great job, so you should now have 7 stitches, and when you're done, finish with a slip stitch and chain 1 as always. And then we're going to fasten off. Cut the yarn, leaving a nice long tail that we're going to use to close up this hole. Now use your hook to pull the yarn through the chain 1, and give the yarn a tug to tighten the knot. Now grab your tapestry needle and thread the end of the yarn through it. I like to put the yarn end next to the hole and use my finger to kind of rub it through. To close the hole, we're going to insert our needle into the front loop of all 7 stitches. So find your first stitch. You might have to kind of shimmy the knot to the side to find it. Then insert it under the front loop only, going from the inside to the outside, or away from you. That's our first one done. Now insert your needle under the front loop of the next one and pull it through, and that's our second one done. Keep going through all 7. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now's the fun part. Pull the yarn, and like magic, the hole is going to tighten and close up. Great job, everyone. So satisfying. I love that part. And now we're going to hide the yarn inside the body. So insert it down into a nearby stitch and bring it out through a random stitch on the other side of the body. Perfect. We're going to repeat that a few more times. The yarn is going to tangle up with the stuffing inside and prevent your work from coming undone. So just insert your needle back into the stitch it came out of and bring it out through a random spot. Do that a couple more times. And then you can trim the excess and use your needle to pull it back into the body and hide it. Or you can use your needle to kind of shove it back in there. And that's it. Let's start the next part. Now we're going to make his clothing. So grab your navy yarn and let's get started. To begin, we need to make a slip knot. So take the end of the yarn in your right hand and leave a bit of a tail. Now wrap it around the pointer finger of your left hand and make a little loop. Slide the loop off your finger and take the tail and bring it to the back, kind of like it's splitting the loop in half. Bring the tail through the loop until it tightens and you have your slip knot. Now you can insert your hook and gently tighten it until it fits comfortably around your hook without being too tight. For the clothing, we need to chain 31. So chain, chain, chain. I'm going to speed this up, but feel free to slow it down if you need to. Great job, everyone. We're going to be working into the back bumps of the chain, so turn it over and you should see a bunch of dashes. Now we're going to skip the first chain, and starting from the second chain from the hook, we're going to make a single crochet in every back bump. Awesome, and don't forget your stitch marker. Now let's make the second single crochet. Easy peasy. I'm going to speed this up now and I'll meet you at the end, but just make one single crochet in every chain. Alrighty, so I'm making my last single crochet now. Once you're done, do a quick count and make sure that you have 30 stitches, and then you can chain one and turn your work, and we'll get started on the next row. Now for rows 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, so 6 rows total. All we're doing again is just making one single crochet in every stitch across. So skip your chain and insert your hook into the first stitch and make a single crochet. And place a stitch marker on there if you need it. Once you've made 30 single crochets, chain one and turn your work. I'll do a little check-in after each row so you can compare yours to mine, but super easy, and I'll come back to finish it up with you. Here's row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, and our final row, row 7. Great job, everyone. Now we're going to chain one and fasten off. Grab your scissors and cut the yarn. Don't worry about leaving a super long tail. We're just going to hide this later. Once you're done, you can use your hook to pull the tail up and through the chain one, then give the yarn a tug to secure the knot. Arrange it so that both ends of your yarn are on the left side and so that it's upside down. The V's of the stitches should be actual V's right now. And next we'll crochet the collar directly onto the clothing. To begin, we need to make a slip knot. So make the little loop, slide it off your finger, and take the tail and bring it to the back like it's splitting your loop in half. Bring the tail through the loop while holding the tail and working yarn until it tightens, and now you have your slip knot. Now you can insert your hook and gently tighten it until it fits comfortably around your hook. Now grab your clothing, and we want to find that first chain. You should see a little V right on the side, and we're going to make a slip stitch into that to attach this yarn. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, then pull it through the loop on your hook. And don't worry about a stitch marker because this is only going to be one row. Now in the next stitch, we're going to make another slip stitch. Now we're going to make a single crochet in the next stitch. Perfect. Now we're going to make a half double crochet in the next stitch. To make a half double crochet, start by yarning over, then insert your hook into the stitch, and yarn over and pull it through, You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over one more time and pull through all 3 loops. Great job! Now we're going to make a half double crochet increase, so 2 half double crochets into each of the next 24 stitches. So half double crochet increase in every stitch until you only have 3 stitches left at the end. But I'll do the first increase with you and walk you through how to make a half double crochet again. Start by yarning over, then insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, then yarn over again and pull through all 3 loops. Now we need to make another half double crochet in this stitch. So yarn over and reinsert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over again and pull through all the loops. Great job! Make 23 more half double crochet increases. I'm going to speed this up now and I'll meet you for our final stitches. Great job, everyone! Now in the next stitch, we're going to make 1 half double crochet. Perfect! Now a single crochet in the next stitch. And we'll finish by making a slip stitch in the very last stitch. Go ahead and count and make sure that you have 54 stitches. And when you're done, we'll fasten off. So chain 1 nice and tight, and then we're going to cut the yarn. Don't worry about leaving a long tail. We're just going to hide this later on. Pull this up and through the chain 1, and then give the yarn a tug to secure the knot. And now you can set this aside and we'll get started on the next part. Now we're going to make his cape. So keep your navy yarn out and let's get started. We need to start by making a slip knot. So make the little loop, slide it off your finger, bring the tail behind it, and pull it through. Then insert your hook. And now we're going to chain 25, and I'm going to speed up through this. For row 1, turn your chain over because we're going to work into the back bumps again. We're going to skip the first chain and then single crochet, single crochet, single crochet into every chain all the way to the end. One single crochet in every back bump. So I'm just finishing my first one now, and place your stitch marker in there. And now make another single crochet in the next chain. Awesome, and just keep continuing to make one single crochet in every chain, and I'll meet you at the end. So I'm making my final single crochet in the very last chain. Make sure you have 24 single crochets, and once you're done, we're going to chain one and turn our work. Now for rows 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, so 6 rounds total. All we're doing again is just making one single crochet in every stitch across. So make 24 single crochets, then chain one and turn your work 6 times. I'll get this row started with you, and then I'll do a check-in after each row so you can compare yours to mine, but I'll officially come back for row 8. Here's row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, and our last row, row 7. Great job, everyone. We only have 2 more rows left. For row 8, we're going to start by decreasing. We're going to make these decreases a little differently from before. We're going to insert our hook under both loops of the first stitch, then yarn over and pull it through, and then do that again in the next stitch. Insert your hook, yarn over, and pull it through. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. We're going to pull this first one through the last 2. And that's our decrease done. Don't forget your stitch marker. Now in the next stitch, we're going to make 1 half double crochet. Awesome, and now in the next 18 stitches, we're going to make a double crochet in each one. I'll make the first few with you. To make a double crochet, you need to start by yarning over, then insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull it back through. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2. You should now have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over one last time and pull through both loops. Great job, everyone. Let's walk through that one more time. Start by yarning over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. I'll make one more with you and then speed it up. Yarn over and insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Now you need to make a double crochet in the next 15 stitches, slash until you only have 3 stitches left in the row. I'm going to speed it up now, and I'll meet you for the end. Great job. Now in the next stitch, we're going to make 1 half double crochet. Perfect. Now we're going to make a decrease using the last 2 stitches. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, then insert your hook into the very last stitch, yarn over and pull it through, and now pull it through the last 2 loops. Count and make sure that you have 22 stitches, and when you're ready, chain 1 and turn your work. The last row, this is basically the same as the previous row. We're going to decrease, then half double crochet, Then double crochet until we only have 3 stitches left. So make your first decrease. Now make a half double crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to double crochet in the next 16 stitches. So I'm going to speed up through them and I'll meet you for the end. Alrighty, like I said, you should have 3 stitches left. Make a half double crochet in the next one. And now decrease using the last 2 stitches. You should have 20 stitches in this row, so do a quick count and then we'll chain 1 and fasten off. We're going to use this tail to sew the cape to the clothing, so we want a really long tail. I'm going to measure this out by draping it along the edge of it and back again. Then I'll cut my yarn. Then pull the yarn through the chain 1 and tighten it to secure the knot. You're doing such a great job. We're so close now. Set this aside and we'll get started on the next part. We're going to make the long, cool hat now. We're still using the navy yarn and we'll also need brown for it. We're going to start with the navy and we need to begin by making a magic ring. So bring the tail up through your pointer and middle, hold the working yarn against your palm with your ring finger and pinky, pinch the tail with your middle finger and thumb, and then make a loop with the tail that goes under the point you were pinching and re-pinch it. Now insert your hook face down and bring the yarn through the ring, twisting towards you and up, and chain 1. Now we want to make 4 single crochets into the ring. Don't forget your stitch marker. Once you've made 4, then you can pull the tail and close the ring. And then as always, we'll slip stitch to the first and chain 1, but obviously these stitches are a little far apart, so insert your hook into the first stitch and then pull the yarn tight to help bring the stitches together. Then you can yarn over and finish the slip stitch as normal. Great job, then chain 1 and we'll start the next round. For rounds 2, 3, and 4, so 3 rounds total, all we're going to do is make 1 single crochet in every stitch, finishing with the slip stitch and chain 1 as always. So I'm going to speed up through this. Feel free to slow it down in the settings below, and I'll meet you for round 5. Great job, guys. It's looking so cool already. For round 5, we're going to increase, single crochet, increase. Easy peasy, right? Let's make our first increase. So there's my first single crochet, and I'm going to place my stitch marker in there now. Now make one more single crochet in the same stitch. Perfect, and now we're going to make one single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Fantastic, and now we'll increase again in this last stitch. So you should now have 6 stitches, and when you're done, you guessed it, slip stitch to the first and chain 1. Round 6, super easy. Just make one single crochet into every stitch. I'm going to speed it up and I'll meet you at the end. Round 7. For this round, we're going to single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. So let's make our first single crochet and put your stitch marker in there. Now one single crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to increase. And repeat, one single crochet in the next stitch. One single crochet in the next stitch. And increase in the very last one. You should now have 8 stitches, and we're going to make a color change to brown, so grab that before making your slip stitch. Alrighty, and so now you can insert your hook into the first stitch like we would for a normal slip stitch, but instead of yarning over with the navy yarn, we're going to take the brown yarn and drape it over the hook. Don't worry about making a slip knot, just drape it over, leaving a bit of a tail. Now you can pull the brown loop through the stitch. Retighten everything if you need to, and pull the brown loop through the navy loop on your hook to make the slip stitch. Again, retighten if necessary, and then chain 1 with the brown yarn. And we'll get started on the next round. Round 8. For this round, we're going to single crochet, increase, single crochet, and increase in the last stitch. We're also going to make a color change back to navy at the end of the round. So go ahead and make one single crochet in each of the first 3 stitches, and I'll speed up through that. Great job, everybody. Now increase in the next one. Awesome, and again, make one single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Fantastic, and now increase in the very last stitch. You should now have 10 stitches, and when you're ready, we'll change back to navy. So insert your hook into the very first stitch, but yarn over with the navy yarn and pull it through when you're ready. Then pull the navy loop through the brown loop. Now tighten everything, and when you're ready, chain one with the navy yarn. Now for round 9, we're going to be working into the front loops only, the loop that's closer to you. We're going to single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, increase, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, increase. So let's make our first front loop only single crochet. You might have to kind of wiggle your hook or use your nail to help guide it in there. Alrighty, there's my first one, and don't forget your stitch marker. Make one more front loop only single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Perfect, and now a front loop only increase in the next one. Now we're going to make a front loop only single crochet in the next 4 stitches. And finish with a front loop only increase in the very last stitch. You should now have 12 stitches, and when you're done, finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. And now we'll cut the brown yarn, but don't worry about leaving a long tail because we're just going to hide it inside the hat. Round 10, we're going to make 5 single crochets, then an increase, and then 5 single crochets again, and finish with an increase in the last stitch. So I'm going to speed up through this, but feel free to slow it down below if you need to. You should have 14 stitches at the end and finish with a slip stitch and chain 1 as always. For round 11, we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the first 6 stitches, and then an increase, then 6 more single crochets, finishing with an increase in the very last stitch. So again, I'll speed up through this and meet you for the next round, but you should have 16 stitches at the end and finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. Last round, round 12. For this round, we're going to increase, increase, increase all the way around. One increase in every stitch. Super easy. I'll speed this up and then I'll meet you to finish it. Awesome, so you should have 32 stitches. So do a quick little count and then finish with a slip stitch and chain one, and then we'll cut the yarn. We want to leave a long tail, and we're going to use this later to secure the hat to the head. When you're done, pull the yarn up and through the chain one, then give it a tug to tighten and secure the knot. It's so cute. Great job, everybody. Now you can set this aside, and then in the next part, we're going to finish all of the crocheting. So take a pause here if you'd like, and I'll see you over there. After all of those big pieces, let's do something nice and easy and make his ears. Keep your navy yarn out, and let's do it. To begin, we need to make a slip knot. So take the end of the yarn in your right hand and leave a bit of a tail. Now wrap it around your pointer finger of your left hand and make a loop. Slide the loop off your finger and take the tail and bring it to the back like it's splitting the loop in half. Bring the tail through the loop while holding the tail and working yarn until it tightens and you have your slip knot. Now you can insert your hook and gently tighten until it fits nicely around your hook without being too tight. And now we're just going to chain two. These are the easiest ears ever. Skip the first chain and make a slip stitch in the second chain. And that's it. Now chain one and we'll fasten off. Cut the yarn so it's about the same length as your first tail. Then pull it through the chain and pull the yarn to secure the knot. And pull your first tail as well, and that's going to help shape it a little bit more. Now you can repeat that and make one more ear. Grab your khaki yarn again, and we're going to make the arms next. We need to begin by making a magic ring. Take the yarn with your right hand, and you want to bring it up between your pointer and middle fingers of your left hand and drape it over your pointer finger. And then use your ring and pinky fingers to hold the working yarn against your palm. Now pinch the tail of the yarn with your middle finger and thumb. Now take the tail and make a loop that goes under the point that you're pinching and re-pinch it. Just like that. And this is our magic ring. Now take your hook and insert it into the ring with your hook facing down. Grab the yarn and bring it through the ring, then twist the hook towards you and up. And chain one. Great job. Now we're going to make 6 single crochets into the ring. And don't forget your stitch marker. Once you've made 6 single crochets, then you can pull the tail to close the ring. And as always, to finish a round, we need to slip stitch to the first one and chain one. Now for rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5, so 4 rounds total, all we're going to do is single crochet, single crochet, single crochet all the way around. 1 single crochet in each stitch. So I'm going to speed this up, but feel free to slow it down if you need to, and I'll meet you to finish it up. Great job, everyone. Make sure you still have 6 single crochets and that you didn't miss or add any. And when you're done, finish with a slip stitch and chain 1 and we'll fasten off. We need to cut the yarn, leaving a long tail that we'll use to sew the hand on later. Once you've cut it, use your hook to pull the yarn up and through the chain 1, then give the yarn a little tug to tighten the knot, and that's it. Repeat all of that and make one more arm, and then we'll move on to the next part. Now we're going to crochet the last khaki colored thing, his little feet. We need to begin by making a magic ring again, so bring the tail up through your pointer and middle, hold the working yarn against your palm with your ring finger and pinky, pinch the tail with your middle finger and thumb, and then make a loop with the tail that goes under the point you were pinching and repinch it. Now insert your hook face down and bring the yarn through the ring, twisting towards you and up, and chain 1. Now we want to make 6 single crochets into the ring. Don't forget your stitch marker. Once you've made 6, then you can pull the tail and close the ring. And as always, slip stitch to the first and chain 1 to get ready for the next round. The feet are super similar to the arms, just a little bit faster. All we're going to do for round 2 is make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to speed myself up and I'll meet you at the end. Great job. Make sure you still have 6 stitches, and when you're done, you can slip stitch to the first and chain 1 and we'll fasten off. Cut the yarn and again, leave a nice long tail that we'll use to sew the feet on later. How easy was that? Now repeat that and make 1 more foot. We're going to crochet the last piece now, the magic wand. So grab your yellow and brown yarns and let's get started. We're going to make the top of it first, so grab your yellow yarn. We need to begin by making a magic ring again, so bring the tail up through your pointer and middle. Hold the working yarn against your palm with your ring finger and pinky. Pinch the tail with your middle finger and thumb, and then make a loop with the tail that goes under the point you were pinching and repinch it. Now insert your hook face down and bring the yarn through the ring, twisting towards you and up, and chain 1. Now we want to make 3 single crochets into the ring. Place your stitch marker on there if you need it. Once you've made 3, then you can pull the tail and close the ring. And as always, we're going to slip stitch to the first and chain 1 to get ready for the next round. But obviously these stitches are pretty far apart, so insert your hook into the first stitch. Then pull the yarn tight to help bring the stitches together. Then you can yarn over and finish the slip stitch as normal. Great job. Then we'll chain 1 and we'll start the next round. For round 2, we're going to increase in every stitch around. So make your first increase. Then your second increase. And now make your last increase. You should now have 6 stitches. When you're done, then slip stitch to the first one and chain 1. Round 3. Now we're going to decrease, decrease, decrease. I'll do the first one with you. Insert your hook under the front loop of the very first stitch. Yarn over and pull it through. Then insert your hook under the front loop of the next stitch. Yarn over and pull it through. Then pull the first loop through the last 2 loops. Great job, and don't forget your stitch marker. Decrease 2 more times, and I'll meet you at the end where we're going to make a color change to our brown yarn to make the stick. So I just made my final decrease. You should have 3 stitches again. We're going to color change similarly to the way we did the hat. Insert your hook into the first stitch of the round. Then tighten the yarn to bring the stitches together. Then yarn over with the yellow and pull it back through. And now pause here and we'll make the color change. Then grab your brown yarn and drape it over the hook. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Then pull the brown loop through. Retighten everything if you need to. And when you're ready, chain 1 and we'll get started on the next round. Now grab your scissors and we're going to cut the yellow yarn just to get it out of our way. To get it fully out of the way, take your hook and insert it into a random spot on the sphere, and then grab all 3 strands of yarn and just bring them through. They're going to be sticking out of the sphere, but that's okay, we're going to fix them later. Round 4. For this round, we're going to increase, single crochet, single crochet. So go ahead and make the increase. Great job, and now we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the last 2 stitches. Count and make sure that you have 4 stitches, and then you can finish with a slip stitch in chain 1, and we'll get started on the next rounds. Now for rounds 5 through 15, so 11 rounds total, all you're going to do is make 1 single crochet in every stitch. Just make 4 single crochets, finish with a slip stitch in chain 1, and repeat that over and over again. I'll do some check-ins so you can compare yours to mine, but I'll officially come back to finish it up. This is round 7, round 9, round 11, and here it is. Great job, everyone. You should have finished with a slip stitch in chain 1, and now we'll fasten off. Don't worry about leaving a super long tail. We're just going to hide it later, and then pull it up and through the chain 1, then give it a tug to secure it. Great job, everyone. This is a perfect stop to pause and rest your hands, and in the next part, we're going to sew and attach everything together. We're going to begin by putting his clothes on. Take your clothing that has the collar attached and lay that down and place him right in the middle of it. Use these yarn ends at the top and tie them together. This is just temporary to make the next step easier for us. Grab your yellow yarn and thread the needle. Now make sure that this is centered on him correctly before we start sewing. We're going to join the clothes together in 3 spots with the yellow yarn next to the rows that have these little sideways dashes. So insert your needle up through the bottom of the body and bring it out through both the body and jacket next to the bottom row of dashes. Pull it all the way through, making sure that you have enough yarn for the rest of these. Now insert it down into the other side of the jacket, and we'll bring it up through to the next set of dashes. But make sure you go back in and out of the body while doing it. Perfect, and now repeat. Insert down on the other side of the jacket, going into the body, and bring it back out next to the next set of dashes. Perfect, and now insert it into the other side of the clothing, but bring it out at the bottom of the body in the same spot as our other end. And now we just want to make sure that these little yellow closures are nice and tight. And once you're happy, you can trim the ends, double knot them, and then use your needle or hook to hide them inside the body. And you can also undo the ends that we tied together at the top, and we'll hide those later. But next, we're going to sew the cape to the clothing. Begin by positioning and centering the cape, using the stitches of the clothing to help guide you. You should have the same amount of stitches visible on each side. And we want the cape to be lined up with this top line of dashes on the clothing. Once you're ready, thread the needle with the long end on the cape, then insert your needle into the clothing right where your cape is, right between the dashes, and pull it through. Then insert your needle into the body and bring it out on the other side next to the other end of the cape. Then insert your needle through the clothing to where your cape is, and insert the needle from the inside to the outside through the very first stitch of the cape. Now insert your needle back through the clothing where it just came out of, and bring it to the back so we can pin that spot. Bring it through what's approximately the middle of the back of the clothing around the dashes, and then bring it out through a stitch of the cape and back in through the other side of the loop, going through the cape, clothing, and body, and bring it out in a random spot on the body. Bring the yarn in and out of the body in random spots a few times to get the yarn tangled up in the fluff, and then we'll cut the excess and hide it away. And there's our cape all finished. Great job, everyone. Now just go through and hide the 3 ends of the clothing inside the body, and we're going to weave this cape end in later. But we're going to sew his arms and feet on next, and all of these ends will be annoying and in the way if we don't take care of them now. Now we're going to sew the arms on. We want them to be reaching out, and the very end of them will be hidden by the cape. So tuck them in and make sure you like how they're positioned, and then we'll get started. When you're ready, we're going to start by threading the needle with the magic ring end, the one that's coming from the middle of the hand. With the hand positioned where you want it to be, insert your needle through the clothing and body, right at the edge of where the hand is, and bring it out through the bottom of the body. Make sure you still like where the hand is, and then we'll start sewing. Thread your other yarn end. We're going to go from top to bottom around the stitch that's right beside the edge of the hand. Perfect, just like that. Then go through a couple stitches of the hand from the outside to the inside and pull that through. Then insert your needle into the stitch below the one we just came out of, all the way through into the body, and bring it out of the bottom in the same space as our other end. Now we'll double knot these, trim them, and hide them away on the inside. Repeat all of that for your second arm, and then we'll sew on the feet. We're going to start by positioning them in the correct places. We'll do it similarly to how we did the arms. Thread your magic ring end, and then find round 17, which is going to be around the edge of the clothing. Insert your needle between the rows a few stitches over from the edge of your jacket, and bring it out through the bottom of the body. His foot should be a little bit under the clothing and a stitch or so away from the edge of it. Repeat that for the second foot now, bringing the yarn out in a different spot from the first one. Make some adjustments so they're placed correctly, and then we'll start sewing. Make sure that the knot is positioned at the bottom of the foot, and then we need to find the stitch that's right under it. Insert your needle into the body, coming out on the other side of the stitch. We're going to be following the curve of the foot, and so I'm just going sideways right now. Now insert your needle up through the very first stitch of the foot, and then down through the next stitch. Now find where the yarn is coming out of the body and reinsert your needle in that spot and bring it out on the other side of the stitch, following the curve of the foot, so I'm going upwards this time. Now we need to bring our needle up through the same stitch of the foot that we just came out of. Then go back down through the next stitch. Now we need to reinsert the needle into the space on the body that it came out of previously and bring it out on the other side of the stitch following the curve, so I'm going upwards again. And then we'll go up through the previous stitch of the foot and down through the next. And you're just going to continue sewing the foot like that all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. So I'm going up through the last stitch of the foot right now, and then I'll bring it back down through the very first stitch. And that's it. To finish, insert your needle a little bit under the foot into the body and bring it out in the same space as the magic ring end. And then double knot them, trim them, and hide them away on the inside. Sew and finish your second foot the exact same way, and then we'll move on to the next part. Let's do something easy and hide this cape end now. Thread the needle, and then insert it into this bottom row of V's, going through the middle of them. Go through about an inch or so of stitches, then pull it through and pull it really tight so that the cape scrunches up. And then you can trim the yarn and unscrunch the cape to fully hide it. Fantastic job. Let's do some more sewing. We're going to attach the hat now. Start by bringing out all of these ends from the hat. Take one of your ends and thread it. We're going to use this to anchor the hat in place. We want the front edge of the hat to be in line with this line from the second and third rounds. Insert your needle through the middle of the first round and bring it out in the back, but not too low. Pull it tight and check it out to make sure it looks like it's positioned correctly. Then thread a second end and insert it into the head one stitch to the side and bring it out in the same spot as the first one. And then do that one more time with the last one. Insert it one stitch to the side and bring it out in the same space. Now we're going to thread our last end of the hat from where we fastened off, and we want to hide this knot. So insert your needle into a couple loops on the inside of the hat, they'll be right below the knot, and pull it through. Now insert your needle into the body, into a space that's right below where your yarn is now, and bring it out in the same space as all of the other ends. Make sure that you like how it looks. Then double knot the brown ends together. And double knot the navy ends. Now trim them and hide them inside the body. So cute, you're doing such a good job. Now we're going to attach the ears. Make sure that you have them facing the right way. The back of them will have this big bumpy knot on them. Thread the end that's going to be closer to the inside first, then find the fourth row. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Insert your needle going from front to back on the side of the head, going in and out behind one stitch. Make sure that you like how it looks, and then thread the second end. Insert it one row below the first one, but bring it out in the same space as the other end. Easy peasy. Now double knot them, trim the excess, and hide them inside the head. Repeat that for the second ear, making sure that they're lined up correctly, and then we'll sew our final part. Time to attach the wand to his hand. We're going to hide these yellow ends inside the stick first, so thread those and get them hidden away. Great job. Now figure out where the stick will be touching the hand and weave both of the brown ends so that they're hanging out of that spot. Insert your needle going upwards in between the first and second round through a couple stitches. Thread one of the ends and pull it through. Then insert your needle going downwards in the same spot. Thread the other end and bring that through. Double knot them. And bring them back into the stick and hide them away. Oops, I accidentally pulled the yellow out with it. Trim all of the ends and finish hiding them. Fabulous job, everyone. Grab your black yarn and we'll make his eyes and nose now. We're going to insert the needle. We're going to insert the needle through a random spot on the side of the head, and we want to bring it out in line with the top of the ear a few stitches to the side. So go ahead and do that. Pull it all the way through, leaving a little tail sticking out from the side. Now we want to bring the yarn diagonally across this stitch. So insert your needle and then bring it out on the other side of it underneath our starting point. Perfect. Here's what it's looking like now. To finish the eye, insert the needle under the yarn and pull it through, but not all the way. Leave a little loop. Mine's all twisted up, so I'm just fixing that. Once you're ready, insert your needle into that loop and we're going to make a knot. Make it super nice and tight. Great job, and now we're going to make the second eye. Insert the needle back into the spot it had just come out of and bring it through on the other side of the face in line with the top of the ear. Make sure that you have the same number of stitches visible between the eye and ear. Then when you're ready, we're going to do the same thing. Insert the needle diagonally going down and sideways and bring it out on the other side of the stitch. Then insert the needle under the yarn, making a little loop to insert your needle into and make a knot. I accidentally added an extra step here for some reason, so do as I say and not as I do right now. And now we're going to make a little Y-shaped nose. So insert your needle back into the body and bring it out in line with the bottom of the eye to the side of the center. Insert your needle down diagonally across this stitch and bring it out straight down a couple rows below. There we go. Now we'll make the bottom of the Y shape. So reinsert the needle into the same stitch as before, 2 rows up, and bring it out diagonally up through this stitch. Then insert it back down to the same center point of the nose to complete the Y, and bring it out on the top left of the Y where we originally started, and repeat all of that to thicken the nose up. Go through all of the same stitches and make a Y shape again. Once you're finishing up going through that center point, bring the needle out in the same space where our first end is sticking out. Double knot the ends together, trim them, and hide them away on the inside. And Oberon the Capybara Mage is officially finished. Thanks so much for joining me to make this. I hope you love yours as much as I love mine, and I'll see you next time. Bye!